Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, former Tasmanian Labor President Ben McGregor has slammed the party for its handling of sexual harassment allegations against him. He's calling for an internal party review, claiming there were political motivations behind his ousting.
Speaking out since he was cleared of sexual harassment claims, Ben McGregor has taken some time to reflect.
What happened and the way that senior Labor Party figures treated me was appalling. It was cruel.
The former ALP state president and candidate for Clark was politically executed by his own party after text messages dating back 7 years were leaked ahead of last year's May election.
It affected my career, it affected my job prospects, and it hurt the way that I worked with my family and my friends.
The social worker of 20 years claims lobbyists and factional warlords maintain a high level of control over party policy, and the Parliamentary Labor Party has strayed from its traditional working values.
They walked away from pokies reform, they walked away from donation reform. They say that they can't do anything because they're in opposition. That's weak.
The Parliamentary Labor Party is busy doing its job, working on holding the government to account and representing our community. That's what I'm focused on.
Ben McGregor has requested an internal party review, claiming due process wasn't followed after the text messages were leaked without the complainant's consent. He's also weighing up defamation action against Rebecca White.
This is about how the party dealt with it and how it was politicised to damage me, not to deal with the actual complaint at hand.
State Secretary Stuart Benson was contacted for comment. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
An unvaccinated woman in her 50s in the Royal Hobart Hospital has become the 27th person in Tasmania to die from coronavirus. The state's COVID cases jumped again today to 1,859 new infections. The state government says the new Omicron subvariant BA2 is behind the spike in numbers.
This uptick is not related to the recent removal of masks. It's related to the more transmissible BA2 variant, which is more transmissible.
There are currently 18 people in hospital with the virus, 2 in ICU. As we enter the second half of Term 1, Tasmanian schools are continuing to report an increase in COVID cases. Our reporter, Elizabeth O'Neill, has the details on how many outbreaks have occurred and what parents need to know.
3.3% of government school students have COVID, with more than 2,000 active cases. Currently, 102 schools in Tasmania are in the midst of a COVID outbreak, where 5 or more students in one class are positive with the virus. Out of the 102 schools, 88 are primary and 14 are secondary. But these numbers only paint part of the picture. That's because when it comes to independent schools, the onus is on them to report outbreaks. As such, Independent Schools Tasmania can't provide definitive data on case numbers, but 34 private schools have informed Public Health they're in the midst of an outbreak. The other 68 are public schools. In the case of a school outbreak, all students and staff will be required to take a rapid antigen test on days 0, 2 and 5. If negative and not experiencing symptoms, they can attend school as normal. Things to look out for are signs of a cold or flu, nausea, diarrhoea, stomach pains and a lack of appetite. If a test is positive, both the school and Public Health should be notified, and the student and household contacts must isolate for 7 days. Most education facilities will stay open during an outbreak, but some will revert to remote learning. The main message from Public Health and educators: if a child is showing any signs of illness, stay home.
Tasmanian businesses can snap up a third round of the popular COVID-19 support payments. Grants of up to $10,000 are available for traders suffering a 30% loss in turnover.
The grant program will assist businesses that suffered trading losses or reduced customer demand due to COVID-19 for the period of 15 February 2022 to 14 March 2022.
So it's definitely helping with all those foundational areas of our business that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do without it.
To be eligible for a grant, businesses must have a COVID safety plan in place. Meanwhile, the Liberal Party is celebrating 8 years in government, trumpeting its achievements in the lengthy term, but the opposition has slammed the failure of successive Liberal governments to deliver on a string of projects.
The Tamar Bridge, the Bridgewater Bridge, the underground bus mall, projects that were promised for Macquarie Point. They stack up one against the other as commitments that were made and promises that were never delivered.
In a statement, Peter Gutwin said under a Labor Green government, 10,000 Tasmanians lost their jobs and the state was plunged into a recession. Holidays in New Zealand are back on the cards from next month, with the border to reopen earlier than planned. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says vaccinated Australians will be welcomed back from April 13. That's in time for school holidays and the ski season. Flights between Hobart and New Zealand will resume on July 7. As the cost of living debate heats up, a Hobart housing group has condemned a plan by the city's council to hike the rates for short-stay accommodation property owners. The vote to look further into the matter occurred last night after a motion was moved by Deputy Mayor Helen Burnett. The state's capital has more than 480 Airbnb-style locations that are entire properties. Kentish Council will suspend overnight camping at Kentish Park after Easter as it considers the future viability of the campground. A child was admitted to hospital on New Year's Day after a driver allegedly mowed down a family's tent. The council says the incident, along with other instances of antisocial behaviour, left it with no choice but to ban camping. It hopes the campground can reopen, but will need to speak to the state government about a possible fee for stay. Plans for an $80 million inner-city education hub are now available to the public. Construction on the former forestry building will be the next step in moving the University of Tasmania into central Hobart.
This will be the home for 3,000 business, economics and law students, 300 staff, all right here in the heart of the city, close to transport, close to jobs.
Whilst there's no doubt about it that the university has swallowed up a significant amount of CBD land, what it's going to do is bring lots more customers to town.
Expected time frame of the build is 2 years. The preferred design for one of Tasmania's largest irrigation projects has been chosen. More than 200 farmers are interested in the Tamar irrigation scheme and hope it will boost business productivity.
It's given us a huge increase in productivity and given us access to markets we wouldn't have otherwise, because we wouldn't have that assurity of offering feed throughout the year.
The design was chosen for its balance of efficiency and economic viability.
Where it's affordable, it's a good investment still, there's good economics to be made from the investment, and it's sustainable.
The 24,500 megalitre scheme is set to be completed by 2026. It will cost $290 million to build. And Scott Roth has revealed the toll that living thousands of kilometres from home took on him during the early days of his JACKJUMPERS journey. The team's inaugural head coach pushed through that struggle to now instill a culture of success and determination.
Standing tall at 6'7", he's quickly become a household name in Tasmania. With his American accent and boisterous courtside manner, you can't miss Scott Roth.
One of the things I said when I got this job is I'm not going to be anything other than myself. A lot of times you get jobs and you're trying to fit a certain kind of stereotype, or people are telling you what to do.
Unshaken by the pressure of being the team's first head coach.
It's one of those things you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And if I didn't get it right the first time, it was going to be hard to do it.
The JACKJUMPERS currently boast 3 consecutive wins as they remain firmly in the finals conversation.
I'm, very hard on them as far as making sure that they are doing the right things on and off the floor, and they continue to just impress me.
Away from the court, there's more than meets the eye to the former NBA player.
Who's Scott Roth away from basketball?
That's tough for me.
Being a father and husband, the job he holds most dearly. The distance combined with border closures creating an off-court battle for the Cleveland export.
I mean, I'm obviously getting emotional now, so It's been a long journey. It's been a long 2 years, and I love being with my family. I love representing my family. Everything I do is for my wife and daughter.
MyState Bank Arena was the home of the inaugural side's maiden NBL win, with the JACKJUMPERS scraping their way to a dramatic 9-point overtime victory against the Brisbane Bullets. It's a moment Scott Roth will never forget.
And so there was a lot of anticipation for that game. For me, it was more about relief of getting it over with because I was just an emotional wreck by that point.
But his mission to defend the island is only just beginning.
Really good team, and there were some nervous moments for the coach.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmanian News.
Local businesses and community groups have swapped computers for clean-up bags to help remove a rubbish pile-up around the River Derwent. Volunteers gathered at the Prince of Wales Bay, which has been identified as a litter hotspot by the Derwent Estuary program, with tonnes of garbage accumulating there every year.
Our everyday lives, the things that we choose to do, the products that we consume, a lot of it involves a lot of waste, and unfortunately some of that ends up in our streets and waterways.
Authorities are reminding the public about the importance of correct waste disposal. Australia's most successful winter Paralympian is swapping his ski for a set of wheels in a mammoth fundraiser around Tasmania. Former alpine skier Michael Milton is leading the Ride for Resilience, which will crisscross 400 kilometres of the state. It's raising money for active farmers, which helps those on the land get fit and healthy.
So my brother-in-law's a farmer, and when I go and visit him, I look at the way he lives his life. Lots of hours working, lots of commitment to the farm, lots of commitment to his family, but perhaps not the most balanced lifestyle.
Milton won 6 gold medals at the Winter Paralympics, including a clean sweep of 4 golds at Salt Lake City in 2002. The ride starts in a week's time. A spectacular new attraction for Devonport is a step closer to becoming a reality, thanks to a $1.5 million funding boost from the federal government. The Sound and Light show at the Waterfront Precinct would focus on Tasmania's natural beauty, with hopes it could attract more overnight visitors to the northwest. The state government has also committed $750,000 to the project. A breakaway budgie has turned a Devonport dad into a published author, who is now in the running for a national award. Father of 3, Will Braid, wrote the tale to cheer up his kids while having a rush of blood from his bipolar condition.
A night of tears turned a page when Devonport dad Will Braid put pen to paper after the family budgie flew the coop.
And we spent ages looking for him out in the bush, knowing we wouldn't find him. So I wrote 10 stories in about 3 hours on what this budgie's doing now. He's in the wild to make the kids happy again.
The story spree came during what Will calls a manic high. As someone with bipolar, Will says a rush of creative juices that night inspired the series.
It can be quite euphoric when you get these bursts of energy and you realise you've written 10 books, or you've written a song like Kurt Cobain, or done a picture like Vincent van Gogh, and all these marvellous people that have had bipolar disorder in the past.
Now, Murray and the Seagull has been nominated for the Children's Book Council's Picture Book of the Year. It also has a famous fan, Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, and crucially, the tick of approval from his kids.
When Dad's book came out, I was really excited and started reading a lot more.
Will hopes to touch on themes around bipolar and other disorders later on in the series.
You can still achieve what you want to achieve. You can still set goals, and you can still get the most out of life and get some really good results.
And save the day with the stroke of a pen. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News. Tasmania has posted 355 in its first innings in the Sheffield Shield clash against Victoria. Travis Dean has caused headaches for the Tigers, knocking an unbeaten century. The Vics trail by 145 runs with 6 wickets in hand at stumps on day 2. Tasmania's best female soccer players will return to the pitch this weekend to battle it out for the ultimate 2022 title. The Women's Super League was officially launched this morning, with the players gearing up for a solid year of competition. Off the back of its Summer Cup win, South Hobart is among the clubs expected to bring the heat.
We've got all 7 teams back, fully represented across the state, with teams from the northwest, the north and of course the south.
You play the season to win the league, so we're going to be pressing from 3rd spot where we finished last year up to the top spot.
Season kicks off on Friday night with Olympia hosting South Hobart in a blockbuster doubleheader. Supercars veteran Lee Holdsworth is back for what could be his last drive at Symmons Plains. The 39-year-old returned full-time this year after being dropped to a co-driver role in 2021. But after winning Bathurst at the tail end of last season, he was quickly snapped up by Ford's Grove Racing.
It's great to be a part of that journey, so I'm looking forward to being along for the ride.
Teammate David Reynolds has also jumped to the new outfit.
Good evening. King Island and Campania with 25 the warmest today, Hobart 24, Launceston and Devonport 22 and Burnie 20, Flinders Island, Friendly Beaches and Grove 23, Strawn and Bushy Park 22, Low Head and St Helens 21. Cloudy today with showers over the west, central and north. Iris River the highest reading with 16 millimetres to 3 p.m. Cloud band is present over the southwest of Queensland, western New South Wales and Victoria. Thunderstorms are locked in the cloud over South Australia with more over the far north. Tomorrow a trough crosses Tasmania, followed by a cold front in the evening. The trough also in the picture over Victoria and South Australia. Winds initially up to 25 knots and even 30 knots over the south and west, but they will tend northeast-northwest around midday, then shift west-southwesterly in the evening due to the movement of the trough and front heading our way. Strong wind warning, that's from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape. So for Hobart tomorrow, a top of 27, a humid day, a shower on the way, 29 for Cygnet, 29 also for New Norfolk. Launceston 26, humid day, shower clearing, 23 for Devonport, 25 the high for Campbelltown. Burnie expecting a top of 22, 26 for Strawn, shower or two for Smithton as well and 25. St Helens tomorrow 24 with a shower, partly cloudy for Swansea and 24 the high for Fingal. UV has settled at 7 and high. Friday still a bit scratchy, a shower possible over the northwest and southeast. Looks like a fine but partly cloudy Saturday and a similar forecast for Sunday, southwest-southeasterly winds and afternoon coastal sea breezes. Sunny in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow, a possible shower for Melbourne and Brisbane. Bit of cloud about still, 19 in Hobart, Launceston 21, Devonport 20. Don't know, something's wrong with the time here, Kim. We're bailing out early. I hope I'm still getting paid the same as normal.
You already get overpaid, Murph. Well, that is your news for now. And yes, we are leaving you a little earlier than usual to get to our football telecast. Enjoy it. For now, it's good night.